Janesville. Welcome to Park Place Views, brought to you by the City of Janesville and JATVMedia Services. I'm Molly Nolte, and I'm the Management Information Specialist in the City Manager's Office. This monthly program aims to keep Janesville residents informed by highlighting the people, places, events, and partners in the City of Janesville. On last month's episode, we talked with the Chief of the Janesville Fire Department, Randy Banker, and all things JFD. Today, we'll be catching up with the Director of the City of Janesville Parks Division, Cullen Slapak. Cullen began working with the City of Janesville in 2001 as a recreation programmer and has held several different positions in the Recreation Division, including 5 years as Ice Arena Manager. In 2009, he was promoted to Assistant Parks Director, and in April 2014 was promoted to Parks Director. Cullen has a Bachelor of Science in Recreation Management from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, as well as a Master of Science in Recreation Administration from Aurora University's George Williams College. Cullen is a graduate of the Janesville Leadership Development Academy and is a certified park and recreation professional. Thank you for joining me today, Cullen. You have an impressive background and a lot of experience. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself?
Well, I grew up in a small town in southwestern Wisconsin, the unglaciated area of the state and along the Wisconsin River. So spent my younger years hunting, fishing, trapping, just being outdoors. So I think that's kind of what led me to being in the parks profession.
That makes sense. You're the Parks Director in Wisconsin's Park Place, Janesville. It sounds like you're probably kept pretty busy.
We are. We do much more than just parks. We maintain all of the parks, obviously, but we also have areas like all the right-of-ways, all the green belts, all the city facilities, grounds maintenance that we take care of. So we're kept busy year-round.
The Parks Division is part of the Public Works Department. How many staff do you have, and what is a typical day for Parks employees towards the end of summer?
We have 19 staff that are in parks, 2 administrative staff, myself, and then Ethan Lee as the park supervisor, and then we have 17 field staff. And then in the summertime, we have 15 seasonal employees that we usually hire between May and August.
And what do those seasonal employees do that might be different from a regular full-time employee?
They kind of handle more of the mowing, trash pickup, restroom cleaning, and then we have our full-time employees focus on projects and other areas, landscaping, irrigation, that type of stuff. Typical day for full-time or seasonal employees would just be, grounds maintenance, mowing, string trimming, trash pickup, restroom cleaning, and then anything that comes our way. So every day is different.
Well, that sounds like fun. Are there others who contribute to helping the Parks Division besides your employees?
We do have a lot of volunteers, a lot of friends groups that work with us, such as the Friends of Riverside. They have done a lot over the past 10 plus years, improving the park. We have the Friends of Rockport, newly created Northeast Regional Park Friends, and then we also work with groups like the Ice Age Trail Alliance, the Velo Club. So there's many groups that help us do what we do. We have another group, just a neighborhood group that wanted to have a better established prairie along the bike trail between Wright Road and Wuthering Hills. That group has been active for the last 5 or so years, and so it just depends on what people's interests are and how they want to become involved, and so we work with whoever we can.
And if someone did want to get involved in helping out with the Parks Division, how would they go about doing that?
Usually just calling the Parks Division and talking to us, or just getting involved with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, the city website. You can go on and ask to volunteer. There's many ways to get involved. Just showing up when you see that there's something going on and saying that you want to help. So people have all kinds of opportunities to help in the parks.
Good to know. So it seems like 2018 has already been a really busy year for the Parks Division. In your opinion, what have been your biggest projects and successes this year?
Well, 2018 has been a year of grand openings for us. So we had the Oak Hill Chapel. That renovation is coming to an end. We had a grand opening on June 2nd. And so that group has worked for 5+ years on renovating the chapel. It turned out great. So that's a big success for us and for the community and the chapel group. Camden Playground, we just had the grand opening June 23rd. So that was a many-year project in the making, and that again turned out great. There's been lots of projects, but I think one of the biggest things may not be a project, but just Oak Hill Cemetery in general. We have a couple friends groups now with the Chapel group and the Preservation Society group that has started, and just focusing more on Oak Hill Chapel. The council wanted us to reduce our $74,000 subsidy, and we've been able to do that this year with some staffing changes and some increased marketing, a few changes here and there that I think have really improved the look of the cemetery, and hopefully we can continue that.
So you talked about Oak Hill Chapel and its renovation. What can people use Oak Hill Chapel for?
They can use it for a wedding if they choose to. They can use it for a funeral service if they want to. They could use it just as a gathering place for a meeting. There are no bathrooms right at the chapel. We do have some available at the office, but really for anything that you want to use the chapel for. We aren't going to allow food and drink in the chapel because of the hardwood floors and all of the time that the volunteers spent renovating the chapel, but you still can use it for a number of activities.
And because Janesville is Wisconsin's Park Place, it makes sense for Janesville to be a Tree City USA. Can you talk a little bit about our recent designation?
Sure. This was the 14th year in a row that we've become Tree City USA, and so through the Wisconsin DNR and the Tree City USA National Association, we work on our urban forest, and over the years we've worked with what was known as JSTAC and now is JUFA, Janesville Urban Forestry Alliance. And so they really got the ball rolling 14 years ago. They wanted to promote the urban forest and bring it to people's attention. And it's been brought to people's attention with the emerald ash borer that's in the community. So since 2012, we've been working with that, and that has had us focus more on our urban forest. So we are doing a lot more than what we used to do with our urban forest.
I know that the last time you were on Park Place Views, you talked a lot about the emerald ash borer issue. How has that changed in the last year and a half or so?
I would say that it's probably coming to somewhat of, I think we're over the largest hill or hurdle of emerald ash borer. We still have quite a ways to go with dead ash trees around the community, but out almost on a daily basis with somebody inspecting trees, and we've been working with an intern, a forestry intern, over the last few summers to try to get rid of the ash trees that are still standing, and make property owners aware that you have ash trees and that they should and need to be removed.
Now we're getting a little bit closer to the end of summer, and I don't want to wish away the season, but what can residents expect from the Parks Division coming this fall?
Well, the fall is still a busy time of year for us, so we really do the same thing that we do in the spring and summer. We just do it without our seasonal staff. So our full-time staff are pretty busy in the fall. Once late fall comes, we'll start mulching leaves, winterizing restrooms, and then we turn into the tree pruning, cutting down trees, any types of removals that way. And then in November, our parks staff moves to the loose leaf curbside collection, and so they lead that operation with collecting leaves. And then heading into winter, we move into our greenbelt work, any parks things that we can do in the winter. And then also our staff is involved in snow events, whether it be sidewalk, snow and ice removal, or they're also plow drivers.
Let's get back to Janesville's parks. How many are there?
There are 64 parks in Janesville.
And how many miles of trails do we have here in Janesville?
We have 30 miles of paved bike trail, and then we say approximately 6 unpaved miles of trails, mainly in Rockport Park. But there are other parks that have various trails. We don't necessarily count those as unpaved trails, but there's a lot of hiking opportunities in Janesville.
And of our 64 parks, how much park acreage is there?
With the parks and with the greenbelt system that we have about 2,600 acres of land that we maintain in Janesville.
So 64 parks. I know there's a lot of different kinds of parks that we have here in Janesville. Can you talk about some of the different parks we have and maybe some of their unique amenities?
Sure. You know, our regional parks like Palmer Park, just off the interstate, a lot of people know about it. It has our wading pool, obviously Camden Playground, which is what everybody knows about the Janesville Park system. It has a pet exercise area where people can have off-leash dogs, and just a great park, great location. It has 3 pavilions that are rented every single weekend between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and extending even beyond Labor Day weekend. There's also picnic groves that people can rent, so Palmer's just a great park for people to go relax at. Riverside Park, another regional park, scenic area along the river. There's some overlooks that the Friends group has worked on. Also the splash pad that was put in 2015 is very popular now. The Friends group also just put in at the old wading pool site a sand play area, so there's digger toys and Tonka trucks and everything, so the kids love it. The Friends group has also opened a concession stand on the north end, and this year they have 24 flavors of ice cream, so they're pretty excited about that. So Riverside is another great park to visit. Some of the other parks, like Optimus Park, a lot of people don't know, but started by the Optimus Club, and they maintain it. They do almost all of the mowing for the last 25 years, maintenance of the park. There's a small pavilion. We also do the movies in the park there. So great little park for people to go to. Bond Park, another community park that has the skate park, another unique feature in the park system. So that was a long project, and so in 2015 we were able to open the skate park, and I think has been great for the community.
Let's talk about Riverside Park again. There's going to be the new pickleball courts coming to Riverside Park. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Sure. There were 4 tennis courts. We removed 2 of the tennis courts, and we will be replacing it with 6 pickleball courts. Each court will be fenced and have its own little play area, so I think it'll be a great addition. They'll be named after Jim Clark, who brought the sport to Janesville from Arizona, and had the opportunity to meet Mr. Clark for the first time in 2005 probably, and invited us over to his condo area where they played on a chalked out court. So it's been pretty neat that we've been able to come this far and actually have pickleball courts. So I think residents will really enjoy it. There's a large population of residents that are starting to play pickleball, so I think it's going to be pretty neat.
A little bit earlier you mentioned our paved trails. Can you talk a little bit more about Janesville's extensive bike trail system?
Like I said, we have about 30 miles of paved bike trail. We will be adding approximately 1 more mile in 2019, extending from Sand Hill Drive through Northeast Regional Park out to East Rodimer. So that'll be a great extension. The trail system is used by many people, whether it's hiking, biking, rollerblading. We get lots of positive comments from the users, and the residents of Janesville and even non-residents love the trail system. So it makes its way through the entire city, and then now you can also connect down to the town of Beloit, and also at the north end you can go as far as Fort Atkinson and Jefferson on a paved trail system. So it's a great trail system, and it's great for the community to have.
So one other aspect that we have in Rock County that we haven't talked about yet is our access to water. Can you talk more about how Janesville residents and visitors can use the park system for access to water?
Yeah, we have the Rock River, obviously, that flows right through the downtown area. We have River Walk on both sides. We have 4 boat launches located throughout the community that we maintain. So you can boat, you can fish, canoe, kayak. Now with the new town square, there's a canoe and kayak area that you can stop at. So you can really get on the Rock River and do many things. Obviously fishing, Riverside Park, or in the downtown area, a lot of people fish. We have Kiwanis Pond and Lions Pond, so there's quite a bit of fishing that takes place at both of those. And Janesville is pretty unique that we have two freshwater ponds within the community that people are able to access. So there is a lot of opportunity for water recreation in the community.
Earlier you had talked about how there are several different pavilions in our Janesville parks that people are able to use. Can you talk a little bit about the rental process? I also understand that folks can rent different equipment. What's that process like?
Rental and reservations would just take place at the Parks and Recreation office at City Hall. We have 10 pavilions that are rentable and 10 picnic groves. So a picnic grove is just a pod of 4 picnic tables, and then it says that you have it reserved. So we have seen a large increase in pavilion and picnic grove rentals over the last probably 5 years. So I think people are finding out the ease of reservations and then the ease of letting us take care of it for them. They can leave their trash and we take care of it and clean up prior to and after their reservation. So beginning in May all the way through mid to late October, a lot of our pavilions are rented every single weekend.
I know it's hard to choose, but if you had to, what would be your favorite park in Janesville?
We have so many, but I'd probably say with all the new additions that are going on, I'd have to say the downtown area. It's an area that the most people go through on a daily basis, and we have small parks along the river. We have the river walks that will be extended in the future, the new town square, the new fitness court. So I think downtown is really starting to take shape, and you know, we're proud of the downtown area, the Main Street renovation that took place a few years ago, and now with East Milwaukee in the near future. It'll really be a neat place to be and to be able to do whatever kind of recreation activity you want, from the farmer's market to just strolling around downtown.
I agree. So you had talked about when you were growing up, you were a hunter and a fisher and spent a lot of time outdoors. If you could be doing anything right now as a recreational activity, what would it be?
Really, it's just being outside. So I don't have a favorite. We go kayaking, we go boating. We have an active dog, so we walk every day. You know, we just like to go hiking, and I would say it probably would have been golfing a few years ago until kids came along, and now that has kind of went by the wayside. But just being outside and doing whatever I can outside is what makes me happiest.
Well, it sounds like you have the perfect job for that.
I do.
So, Cullen, we're just about out of time. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Just get out to the parks, enjoy them as much as you can. If there are any problems that you see, please let us know. We try to get out there as soon as we can. Obviously, we can't get around to every place every day, but we try to do the best we can. And our neighbors of the parks help us out a lot with informing us of things that need to be done.
Thank you, Cullen, for joining us today and sharing so much information about Wisconsin's Park Place. And thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in. On next month's episode of Park Place Views, we'll be talking with Michelle Lobby from the City Assessor's Office. In addition to tuning into this program on a monthly basis, stay connected to the City of Janesville by following us on Facebook or Twitter. You can also sign up to receive emails with our press releases and other important information. And you can subscribe to get emergency alerts from the Janesville Police Department on Nixle. For Park Place Views and the City of Janesville, I'm Molly Nolte. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.